Welcome to this episode of Bias Hacking for Conversation Designers, the Vocalime series exploring how different kinds of cognitive biases interact with the work of conversation designers, and also offering insights on how to mitigate them. Today, we'll be delving into so-called Dunning-Kruger effect. Starting from, what is the Dunning-Kruger effect? So according to the definition of the Decision Lab, the Dunning-Kruger effect occurs when a person's lack of knowledge and skills in a certain area cause them to overestimate their own competence. By contrast, this effect also causes those who excel in a given area to think the task is simple for everyone and underestimate their relative abilities as well. It's a bit of a catch-22. People who don't know much about a subject don't have the knowledge or skills to spot their own mistakes or knowledge gaps. Because of these blind spots, they can't see what they're doing wrong, and they therefore assume they're doing great. On the other hand, people who are at the top of their game in a certain subject area don't have the ability to notice their specialty because their work really comes naturally to them, and they don't realize it's not this way for everyone. The ease with which they pick up these skills or knowledge areas blinds them effectively to the fact that the work is more challenging for others. So rather than underestimating themselves, they overestimate that everyone else's abilities match their own. But how does this affect conversation design? Let's bias hack this. Of course, a disclaimer is always due that we're not claiming to cure the incurable or fix the unfixable. Bias are part of us and will always be. What we're proposing here is more like a thought experience than a prescriptive medicine to get rid of bias indefinitely. So let's consider how the Dunning-Kruger effect can affect us in our work as designers and how to mitigate it. Like befriending feedback, meaning instead of taking things personally, try to understand what knowledge you're lacking and take every piece of constructive criticism as learning opportunities. Second consideration, if the interface you're working on is meant for an expert audience, talk to them. That way you'll see how they talk about a certain topic and you'll get a feeling for what is common knowledge to them versus what are pieces of information you might need to bring up in context to remind them of what you're talking about in that moment. And considering the other side of the Dunning-Kruger coin, don't be afraid to sound stupid and always ask the extra questions from the experts. People who know more aren't aware that they know more, but they'll probably be happy to explain what's so obvious to them if you ask. As designers, we should also be aware of the ways the Dunning-Kruger effect can impact on our users. For example, if you need to figure out how familiar or unfamiliar with a subject your user is, allow them to show, not tell, their skill level. This can be as easy as mentioning a domain-specific word and offering the opportunity by way of a button to ask what it means. Users who don't need to go through with the explanation can be considered experts, and the others will be considered newbies automatically. Another idea when talking about topics that some of your users might be really familiar with and others not at all is to offer skimmable explanations. Skimmable explanations allow the users themselves to establish how little or how much they need to know. In any case, try to take the stigma out of asking for info and clarifications. In fact, remind users that you're there and make them feel at ease with asking for help. These are just a few situations where the Dunning-Kruger effect can impact our work as conversation designers. Let us know if you can think of any other example, and in the meantime, check out our other videos in the series of bias hacking for conversation designers. Bye, or should I say bias for now?